would have been.
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
That's no moon.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the Star Wars Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vadabonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
And Kenton, before we dive into the final 3 episodes of Andor, which dropped on Disney Plus this week, I want to tell you that I was a guest, or contestant rather, on a movie trivia game show on YouTube. That was posted this week. I'll put the link in the show notes so people can check it out. It's called The Reel Arena, Reel R-E-E-L, got it like a film reel. And it was really cool. It was it's a fellow TikTok friend, one of my TikTok friends. His name is Mr. Snidbits. You may follow him on TikTok. He put this together, and it was basically me and a couple other movie TikTokers, and basically we sat there and faced off in a number of different types of games, and it was a lot of fun. It was like a cool half-hour game show, and they kind of tried to like shoot it, so to speak, in the same way as a game shoot, where they recorded it through the software they had. They had all the screens and everything ready to go, and it was very similar to, actually, I will say this, the day before I actually went to a taping of The Debaters for the Winnipeg Comedy Festival, which was last week as well, and we went for the Friday night show of The Debaters. It was awesome, it was hilarious, but it's very much a show, so there was a lot of like they would film pickups, and they would do like redo the opening and stuff like that. That happened quite a bit during the show, so that kind of stuff was happening during the game show. And I won't even tell you. I have to leave it up to mystery for you to guess whether or not I won the game show, but you have to watch it and find out.
Well, you must have, or else you wouldn't be teasing it.
I guess so. Yes, I won. Yes, I won. I won the game show. I won the episode, but you should still watch it. And I am going to be on it again. I'm going to come back to defend my title. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but that's going to happen in the next couple weeks. So there you go.
Very good.
It's very cool how people are like just doing it themselves. Like they're like, it's a game show. It's a talk show. That's what a podcast is, a do-it-yourself talk show. Like people are just, it's democratization of media. Everyone's creating stuff and putting it out in the world. And it's very cool.
Hey, I was gonna, and since you brought it up, the folks on YouTube who kind of do what we do, but they do reaction videos to Andor, and they can only show 10 seconds of the video at a time at the bottom of the screen so that they don't get hit with copyright infringement. That's cool. That's a very cool. We should do more of that, or we should start doing that. Although Andor is a tough one because we were just saying each episode that this is a 3-hour block of shows that we had this week. So maybe it's not so easy to do it for this, but for other stuff, maybe we should do some live reaction. Oh, and maybe when we watch Rogue One.
Oh, sure. Well, here, I'll tell you this. The Disney is very litigious with this stuff. And that stuff got locked down. When I tried uploading the episodes that we have watched, all the Star Wars films, those all got banned or whatever because for copyright. And it's to the point, like there's different levels of that. Yeah. And the level, it was like, no, you cannot. That's too much of it. You cannot post that. Do they have like a counter for the 10 seconds or what do they do?
There must be software that does it because I don't think. We'll figure it out. But they're because I don't see anybody actively doing it. I think it edits itself.
Very cool. Yeah, that would be cool to do. One thing I've noticed just while we're on top of YouTube is I post to shorts and I post to the regular YouTube channel. And they have these weird rules around shorts. So for example, I'm doing a month of Meryl Streep movies. I'm watching this month. And one of those, I can't remember, I think it was like before and after, or even, it might have even been, no, it was She-Devil. It was actually She-Devil, the first one I watched. And it wouldn't let me post that onto shorts unless it was less than a minute. For some reason, and I think that's because shorts used to be only a minute. Like when you posted to YouTube Shorts, you're only allowed to post a minute's worth of video. You didn't have any longer. Then they expanded it to 3 minutes, as did Instagram. And so since then, I can post my videos, which are usually about like a minute to a minute and a half. Like I don't really worry about it too much because TikTok, I don't have to worry about it. But sometimes on YouTube, I get these weird messages, and so I have to go in like the She-Devil one. I basically got this message. It was completely shut down. They would not let it post because it was over 60 seconds. And so I had to go in, edit it down to 60 seconds and repost it. And then finally it was fine.
Too much. That
was weird. It's weird though. Isn't that weird that they would say 60 seconds is not okay or is okay, but a minute and a half is not? Like that's dumb.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't make sense. That's why I
haven't updated their agreement yet.
Well, those are always issues when you're dealing with uploading video and there's some people who are more litigious than others, or some organizations, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there's no way any human being could know what all the rules are. I mean, I'm still discovering videos by you that TikTok it's so worried that what you are showing is disagreeable that it blocks. And I didn't even know it was you. I'm just like, I didn't even know it was you. And it still happens. It still happens where you post like a couple clips or something, and then it says this is scary or terrible stuff or something, and it's nothing. Yeah. It's nothing. It's usually nothing. So who knows? As I say, it's impossible to keep up with all of it. So I think it's a common thing.
I would look into that stuff, and we'll do some more fun stuff with clips in the future, now that we're actually posting this stuff to YouTube on a regular basis. But let's get into the episodes, and I want to start by let's go one by one here, because we kind of jumped all over the place for the last couple, which is like, it's understandable because they're giving this to us in groups, right? So we have like trilogies of episodes, so it's all in my head and all kind of bouncing around. But we started this week with episode 7, Messenger, and the description here says Yavin is growing, Willman comes for help, Dedra's on Ghorman, Cassian heeds the call. And all the descriptions are written like that, by the way, is some very short sentences. And that's it. Like one of these ones says just a heist, and that's it. That's one sentence in the description.
Because they don't want to spoil it, which I appreciate.
They're very, very brief.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is an interesting one. And so we're back on Yavin at the beginning of this. And I think it's interesting because last time we were on Yavin, we were like, it was that group of like idiots basically that were arguing and fighting amongst themselves about how to get off that Andor ran into. So are we to believe now that group of people has become the rebel base of did they stay there and form Yavin, the base?
We have no reason to believe that happened, because we haven't seen any of them again.
I think they're saying that by showing us that was the planet they were on at the beginning. Now here's what's happening there.
We've established that it's the same planet for sure, but we have not seen one member of that group. Sure. I assume they starved to death or got eaten by that beast, or shot each other in the head, or all three.
Right. And
that was the end of them. But until we actually see them, because I thought there was going to be a scene where Andor comes back.
Yeah.
Talk and inspires them to join the cause, but that they were going to have to change the way they do things.
Yeah. But no, we have Andor. He's living on Yavin now. He's got a nice little kind of Ewok.
Yeah.
Like hut, or it was actually more like the Wookiee ones in the holiday special, like the house up in the trees of Chewbacca's family. But they're living there, and they've got a nice little house there. Bix is there. And then what's his name shows up? The guy who's been hanging out with Saw. And we didn't see Saw for the rest of this, by the way. I kind of
but Seesaw. Now in the for these 3 episodes, and for a week I've been going, inhale the fumes, boy. Make it burn. I see my sister. Oh my God. Like, so over the top. I wanted more of that. I really wanted to see more of that.
Never really paid off into anything. That guy Willman, no, he was okay. He ends up being okay, but he's injured. But because of all the fighting, he's not. Nothing happens from him breathing in those fumes.
No, and Dan, and I'm so happy you said that, because you remind me. Your favorite character from Rogue One has yet to appear, and we only have one more week. You know who I'm talking about?
No, who's that?
Bor Gullet, the creature. You must face the Bor Gullet. The
Bor Gullet. Oh,
yeah,
Bor Gullet. I didn't know what he was saying.
Right, I don't even know what I'm saying when I'm saying it, but I thought. This week, I was hoping we were going to see him get that creature, which, by the way, does nothing. Just like you said, the fumes didn't really do anything to that guy, no long-term effects. Mm-hmm. Similarly, that creature only made the character in Rogue One. We said he just made him kind of forlorn for a little bit. He just looked a little. He had a little temporary depression for about 15 minutes, but that was it. So I want to see. I hope we learn in the next part of the trilogy how Saw Gerrera gets Bor Gullet.
Is there another part coming
next week?
Okay, I thought this was it. For some reason, I thought there was only gonna be 3.
Oh yeah, well no, 3 more next week, and then that's that.
Okay, good. Yeah, but I was not happy with how this ended. I'm like, they better not end there. There's so much
no.
Here.
Oh yeah, there's more to and you're gonna get more. But I could see how you would think that's an ending. It felt
like an ending.
Yes, there was a lot that happened in that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we have Willman comes back and gets Andor, and he tells him what's going on in Ghorman. He wants him to come back to Ghorman because Dedra's there. They've confirmed that Dedra's there. She's just there waiting to be shot because she's the one who was responsible for Ferrix, right? She's the one who's basically responsible for all of Bix's pain that she's been through. Like she's the one who had Bix tortured. And so basically Andor wants to kill her. Like he has a very good reason for wanting to kill her. And so Willman talks him into going, and he gets in trouble for just taking off. It looks like things aren't so loosey goosey as they have been, right? They're starting to kind of try and have more rules. They have what's his name show up there and tell him he can't take off. Anyway, he goes anyway. Like basically the conversation is you can't just take off whenever you want to. He's like, well, watch me. He does.
Right.
And he's got his ship now, though, right? He's got his cool ship
Yeah.
from Rogue One. So he got that at some point. I don't know when he got that. Before they went back to Yavin. And so they head back to Ghorman. Meanwhile, on Ghorman, they need to move up the mining schedule, right? They can't wait any longer. They have to get in there with their mining equipment, and so they're kind of accelerating it. And they're setting this up. It's so weird that they're doing this. Like I have to say, of these three, I really like the second episode the best because it was all about the people and the protest and all that stuff. This first episode, the first and the third, I didn't think they were great episodes.
The third is maybe my favorite piece of Star Wars among my favorite. Yeah,
No,
I love it.
maybe,
But I
it's 'cause
think I think the whole trilogy, this trilogy of shows was bang on. I just loved it. I thought 2 and 3 were particularly strong.
I like the second one a lot. I think that the whole thing with Ghorman, like we were joking about them being French resistance, but this became more, I think, similar to like Eastern Europe at the fall of the Soviet Union, like when they were they're protesting. And there was one, I don't know if this was actually inspired by a real thing, but there was one real incident in East Germany where there were protesters showing up, and the person in charge was ready to kill them all, like ready to just open fire if they got violent, and they didn't. They started kind of singing, and they were peaceful, and so they couldn't do anything. And that's kind of, I think, what was supposed to be happening here at that moment during that protest. See, I'm jumping around. We're already into second episode, but I can't remember what happens in the first episode.
The first and second episodes really flow one to the next.
Yeah.
Because remember, Cassian shows up and he's a fake journalist, which I enjoyed. That's good. Yeah. And we saw more Fox News reporting with their little cameras from Ghorman, and like
calling it Fox News.
It is Fox News. The Fox Imperial News, which I mean, the Imperius News is really more what it is.
There's more than one person there, so isn't there more than one network?
Well, there's a lot in these episodes. A lot. Well, I mean, considering there's never been any in Star Wars, we had the PR guy show up in the first episode with Krennic. That was pretty funny. So there's PR in Star Wars, and there's also reporters in Star Wars. I don't think we've seen either one before at this season of Andor. And so the idea that Andor is going to pretend to be a journalist is pretty good. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
And and so him going there, and then at the same time, the resistance forming, the Imperials with the guy with the scar in the Imperials turned out to be one of the most horrible villains, Imperial villains of all time. The one who won't take responsibility for anything until he says, he says to Dedra, you have to make the call. She goes, okay, do it.
Guy.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. Like he's just a weasel, that guy.
Yeah.
That guy, that's the guy that needs to be killed ASAP, even before Dedra.
Right.
But those two episodes kind of go together, and the sense of stress and dread and horror, just, oh my God, like this really is stressful TV viewing.
Yeah.
It's good. It's deep Star Wars and well-written Star Wars, and gives us the view from the ground that we just weren't familiar with. And there's some great stuff in there, like Andor holding his mirror out onto the balcony of his hotel room, and you see two stormtroopers in the mirror talking, and it sounded like the same conversation Ben Kenobi heard on the Death Star, when he's like, they're just banal
a drill.
Yeah, banal stormtrooper discussion. And things along the way, like Andor, there's two hotel concierge at the front of the hotel to greet him, and one of them's on board, and the other one, he's like, she'll report you, like,
Yeah.
like
The
she's
guy
not
from
on
last time,
board.
and he remembers him. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that he remembers him. Cassian, he didn't have much of a disguise. He was just slicked his hair back and had a different outfit. But the guy, he remembers his face, and he's like, and he lets him know right away. He's like, you know the way. He is like, yeah, and so basically, and then later on, he says, I didn't log your stay or whatever. Like
Yeah.
he's
You were
part of the
never here.
resistance. Yeah. So yeah, he's showing up there to take out Dedra. Meanwhile, Cyril is kind of pissed off about what's going on. He's completely he's upset that Dedra didn't tell him. That's what he's really mad about.
Well, he's confused at first. At first, he still thinks he's making a big difference there. He doesn't realize that he's been duped too.
Yeah, and I think it finally became clear to me what he was trying to do, or what they told him they were trying to do, which is basically they're trying to draw in Andor, or outside agitators, as he puts it, right? But I think in his mind, he was trying to bring in Andor as an agitator because he wants to get him. And the way they're just kind of thrown together in these movies, like, and all the people running around, and you're like, they're all in the same place. They're going to come into contact with each other at some point.
Yeah.
And just for them to, like, he just tackles them. That was a crazy scene where they just start fighting each other.
Well, part of what's great about this trilogy of shows of Andor's is that seeing people together who haven't been together before or in a long time.
Yeah.
And I thought that was one of the great, like, it's weird how for a show with multiple storylines, how infrequently the main protagonists and antagonists are ever together.
Right.
It's you don't really it was almost invisible until they were together, in which case it was like, holy crap. Like, it just made it even more stressful and exciting at the same time to see everything sort of coming together.
Yeah, and
Like,
so for as far as Mon Mothma goes, she's on Coruscant. She's basically everyone's kind of like, they're moving in on Ghorman. They're landing the mining equipment. They're setting up. There's this big protest happening. They're setting up these, and they've got these green recruits too. They've got these really like new recruits who are gonna like get nervous and shoot somebody. They're just basically trying to create a powder keg to go off, right? They just want an excuse to start killing all these people so they can go in and just wipe the planet clean.
There's stormtroopers everywhere. There's a room with K2 droids in it.
Yeah,
as we
saw.
What
was with the other people in that room? Like, they got 6 droids sitting there, and there's just a bunch of other people sitting there. Like, were they just like other
waiting rooms? Well, they said when Cyril came in, they said you have to sit in here. Like, friends and family of the Imperials have to sit in this room.
Right, because it was Dedra. Dedra wanted there so he'd be safe. Right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But that didn't look like a safe room to me.
Well, not with
those droids. No, that looked horrible. That looked like they might just hammer your head.
Yeah.
Before they go out and hammer everybody else.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of that stuff sort of all happening at once, like, just great stress-inducing Star Wars TV. Right. He
gets out of there. He goes, and then the other guy, he runs into the main, like, the older guy who's in charge of the resistance, who's realizes what's happening at this point. He has figured it out. He knows what he knows that Cyril's a plant, and Cyril's like, I didn't mean for this to happen. Like, Cyril still hasn't figured out what's going on, and he's like, I didn't know what was going on. I was trying to bring in trying to catch outside agitators, and this is not at all what this is about. And so he just feels completely betrayed.
The Imperials are very bad at planning too, because the mining equipment arrives before, too early. And we notice them struggling with sort of basics, stuff that they should be prepared for, but that they're not. They're prepared enough to send in that team of inexperienced SWAT agents because they know they're going to need some incompetence here to really make this work.
Yeah.
But they're not smart enough to plan the arrival of the mining equipment.
No.
And some of that other stuff, which sort of shows what, it sort of shows their hand before it actually happens.
But they did have that sniper up there taking out people randomly, or he had
shooting his own guy,
showing the other guy first, and then it makes the commander think it was the guy up on the roof. So then he opens fire, and that gets them going. That means they just start killing people. And this is like the first time we've seen this type of mass murder in Star Wars, right? As far as
Oh,
like an
yeah.
actual slaughter. And this is the actual Ghorman massacre. The other one, I think they just called Tarkin's massacre. I think they're making a
This is
distinction
right.
there.
Right.
So,
It was confusing in the prior 3 episodes, but
yeah,
it's not now. Now that we've seen what happens, we know
right. Okay, this
we
is
know
the
that that's
massacre, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and so it's just a bloodbath, and so they got to get out of there, and Gorman and Wilton gets, or no, sorry, Andor and Wilton get separated. Bix took off. Do we miss that part? No, Bix is still
That's
on
at the end.
Yavin. That's
Yeah, episode 3, yeah.
yeah, sorry. Bix is still on Yavin. So basically, he's got to get out of there. He does get the droid. We find out where he gets K2SO.
Yeah,
So he
that's
does.
good.
He almost gets killed, and then another person rams it. Another one of them resistance members rams it. And so I'm just curious though, why does he think to bring it with him? Like, why in that moment does he decide to bring the droid with him?
It has to happen. Something has to happen.
Because he's in the
Get-
later movie, so they
Right.
decided to kind of think of a good way for him to get a droid.
I thought that was pretty good. I mean, it surprised. Well, first of all, it was horrifying. Like that whole Gorman massacre, it seemed real. It was horrifying. It didn't look like TV actors. It looked like actual real people. And they sang the national anthem and they chanted and it was good. It was well executed. So when the shooting started, that seemed real. When the droids come out, it's terrifying. When they come out and just start hammering, just whacking people left and right, and just like you don't really appreciate sort of how dangerous those droids are until you see them in action doing their thing.
Yeah.
And that's of course also where Cyril sees Andor. Cyril now knows he's been duped to a certain extent, that Deidre's lied to him, that or withheld information from him. And he sees Andor, and Andor becomes the focus all the way back to the season 1. Was his sort of like he was his Jean Valjean, and he was Javert chasing him, but he was incompetent Javert chasing him.
Yeah.
There's another French, another Les Mis
There we go.
reference. But so when he sees Andor, that's a pretty good brawl. He jumps Andor, and they have a really good Star Wars fist fight, which you don't see too much of.
No.
I thought that was a good fist fight. But then, go ahead.
Then I mean, I love that Andor's like, "Who are you?" Like, just
Yeah.
what the fuck is your problem, buddy? Like,
Yeah.
come on, relax. What's going on? And then boom, he just deads. Like Cyril dies like that.
Shot in the head.
Shot by the leader of the resistance who was betrayed by him. And why not? Because everyone else is dying. Might as well kill this guy.
Why
He
not?
started it all. It's all his fault.
And he was lowering his gun. He was going to answer Andor. The gun was coming down.
Yep.
I don't think he was going to shoot Andor in the end. And then he got shot in the head anyway. And who are you is like the worst thing he could hear. Like Cyril is a victim in all this in many ways.
Yeah.
He's wanted, he's everything he thought he was working toward to one degree or another he was not actually working toward. His mother domineering him, like just everything that all came together sort of conspired to put him where he was, and his focus on Andor was just that anger coming to a head right in the moment. So I was actually shocked when he was shot in the head. I wasn't expecting it like that.
Well, it's funny because we were talking last episode about how whether or not they're just going to kill off characters like this, like The Wire did, right? Where you can just have like a character boom, be gone in there. They just did it. They went ahead and did it, like a big character.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people liked Cyril and they were hoping for redemption for him, or hoping for him to join the resistance or something. But no time for that. We have to get to Rogue One.
I wanted Deidre shot in the head because I thought Andor had enough opportunity there. He probably could have done it.
He had a couple tries,
Yes, yeah, and each time it was sort of like a near, like didn't quite do it. And what that's left us with is with her having a panic attack. I thought that was in the trailer. We saw a bit of that, and I thought she was being choked by Darth Vader, but now we know it was just a panic attack.
Yeah.
And even her boss, that British actor who's like just, oh my, he's great.
Partagaz.
Cool.
Yeah, I told you his name. Partagaz, something like that.
Yeah, and he's like, don't, control your emotions when you're talking, kind of thing. Like, just don't be panicky when you're talking. It's no good. Like, that's not imperial professionalism.
Yeah.
So she's by herself in the room, just having a complete panic attack. And I think that means, so she is screwed up majorly in her own mind. And but I also think that makes her prone to work with the rebellion from the inside, perhaps, or to flee altogether, potentially. I don't know that I don't think she makes it out alive one way or another, because we didn't see her in Star Wars, so.
We didn't see her really in that last episode, right? She wasn't. I don't think she was in the third episode at all. I think that
What
was.
do you think about that? No, I didn't.
The third one was mostly about Mon Mothma, and so
Right.
she's basically, her thing is that she's got to speak out. All this stuff is happening on Ghorman. People are talking about it, but they're taking the senator from Ghorman is getting taken out. This is very much mimicking real life, the way people are being
Oh yeah.
taken out of like town halls happening in the U.S. where people are getting upset at their Republican representatives, and they're just being hauled out of there. And that's exactly what we see here. And so she has a minute to talk to Bale, and I guess this is why we had to have Benjamin Bratt in the other episode, because he had a longer scene, he had more to do. So they're figuring out what they want to do, and he's like, I'm going to stay here, you go to Yavin and you take over Yavin, you need to lead them. And I mean, he's right, they need somebody to lead them. They're getting more organized, but they're still not quite there. And so he's going to stay here and try and figure shit out. And she's going to go. And by the way, he also drops the first shit in Star Wars. Have we had shit before?
We had it twice in these 3 episodes. Andor said, well, in the very first episode, he says shit when he hits the TIE fighter inside the hangar. So we had one there.
That's right.
There was 2. I realized there was 2 people. The word shit comes up twice in these 3 episodes, but I don't remember what they were. The one was on Coruscant.
Right. Anyway, he says Benjamin Bratt tells her to whatever, out the shit out of them or something.
Yeah, right.
And now I'm like, oh, now it doesn't feel like Star Wars when they start swearing like that. They need to make up swears like Battlestar Galactica did.
But that's the problem. I guess they start using it too much.
Right.
Like frack. And
they did that in Star Trek too. They had swearing in Star Trek.
Yeah. Buck Rogers too, I think, had its own version of that. But
did it?
Yeah, a little goes a long way, I think, of that kind of stuff. So I'd rather hear, for a show like Andor, like every once in a while, like the realism on Andor is so rooted and grounded that you see an alien walk by or something, and it almost seems like it's weird. It's disconcerting to see an alien walk by because it seems so real.
Yeah.
And in the end, it's still Star Wars, but it's like this could just be like a political sci-fi thriller. It wouldn't even have to be Star Wars. It's just a good, effective thriller.
Yeah, and so Mon Mothma on the planet, she wants to give a speech. She wants to tell everybody what's going on. She wants to speak in the Senate, and they're not going to let her or whatever. They have certain protocols they have to follow, so they can't let her speak. She doesn't have the time. She doesn't get the time. But then Bale can do it. Somehow Bale finds a loophole where he can yield his time to the senator from Mon Mothma, another senior senator or something. And so she gives her speech, and I thought it was a pretty lame speech, I gotta say. I was not really.
Oh, I loved it.
She said in so many words, she said, they're lying to you in about 5 different ways. The gap between the truth and fiction has never been wider, or whatever. She does that for a while, and she finally gets around to saying the name of the person, and they cut her off right as she says Emperor Palpatine. But she doesn't really say anything else.
I loved it. And by the way, we saw that in Rebels. We saw her do the same speech in Rebels.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And it's not as good as this one. This speech is better. She only had a brief amount of time. I thought she said what she needed to say. You know that she's going to have to run to get the hell out of there because the stormtroopers are going to be coming. And once again, bad Imperial timing on the, like, how are we going to stop this broadcast from getting out? Like, well, I locked that door to this room. Like, why did you lock it?
People were like in on it though. Those 2 people were like rebel people.
Yeah, right? but then you had the guy at Mission Control shouting into the thing. Why can't we do that? Like this is all stuff that you would imagine that if you're well planned, this stuff isn't going to happen. What's the worst thing that could happen on the Senate floor? You know, like it's all sort of predictable. I thought the Empire has some issues in their planning.
Well, I just thought it was a little too easy for them to circumvent the the broadcast or whatever it was, like, and they didn't even like they did end up cutting it off, but it's like now they're gonna make her do another speech and that whole thing. Like I didn't like that idea, and that they're gonna bring her in. They're gonna actually well, we're skipping over the good part. The good part is like when finally we have Mon Mothma and Andor meet, right? This is what you're
Fantastic.
talking about, right? The
Yeah,
two
love it.
characters that we've been following, the two main characters. I mean, Luthen's also kind of a main character, but it's really Andor and Mon are the two we're following. So they finally meet, and it's like, but it's not not how you think. It's not like, do I know you? I what is the line again? He says, I have friends everywhere, or something like that. I have
Yeah.
friends in high places. No, I know
Friends everywhere.
I know people everywhere, something like that.
Yeah.
And so that clues her in that he's the guy that she's supposed to go with, but she still doesn't trust him, so he's got to spend an elevator ride convincing her. So all of that code work doesn't really matter.
But I liked it, and she's warned by Luthen in advance, and you're not sure. She doesn't know who she's supposed to believe, so I kind of like that wrinkle. I liked the escape. It's scary. It looks like it looked like the Canadian Museum for Human Rights with them going up the staircase and death and like around the spiral. Like, how are they gonna get out of here? Like I just sort of, oh my God, it's just so stressful. Mon Mothma's not even sure she wants to do this. She's like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. Like,
Right.
too late. Now you are. Here we go.
Take out her driver, which I was like, that guy didn't do anything to anybody. Like,
Oh, he was informing on her.
why? That's his job. That's what he was hired to do. Like, what's wrong? Why can't he just keep living?
Loose lips sink ships, and that's what happened. And that's what happened to his. And I like that.
Yeah.
Cloris, I think his name is Cloris. And he goes, "Who's that?" That's my driver. Like, she works for the ISB. What's his name? Cloris. Hey, Cloris. Bang. Gets hits on my shot. Oh, that's good stuff. I was like, oh, that's good. Now we can use Cloris's car. Perfect.
And I like that way he immediately steers off of the road and just goes up into the sky, because you can do that with a flying car. You just go wherever you want.
Over the water. Yeah. Yeah, that was so good. That's a cool car too, or cool.
It is a very nice car, yeah.
Yeah. So I really love that. I felt every moment of that, where it was just oh my God, like I felt sick to my stomach. Like, this is it. People are getting arrested. Stormtroopers are showing up everywhere. Like, it just gets like, this is the time when you have to figure out what it is you're going to do. I also noticed they've started to make Luthen look worn out, and this war is taking its toll on him, and Mon Mothma, they looked older, and they've just started, although Andor doesn't age, evidently.
Well,
the actor doesn't age, and neither does Andor.
I'm curious though, when we go back to watch Rogue One,
Yeah.
we'll see if he actually looks younger.
He must.
In the show, because I saw an interview with them. They're doing one of those like fun interview things, and they're like, it's like, name the quote, Star Wars quote, and they got him with one of his own, and he didn't remember the line. He's like, it was 10 years ago.
Yeah. I know, that was a long time.
So anyway.
Yeah, and who even knows who from Rogue One is going to show up in the next three? I think
now we know it's going to be K2SO, because they spend
for sure.
At the end of the third episode, K2SO is we have him now. They're all worried he was going to get up and like kill them. What?
Oh, and a few things at the Rebel base, and we need to talk about Bix as well.
Oh yeah.
The Rebel base, that's the guy in charge is the guy from Rogue One.
Yeah.
That actor was in Rogue One. I was happy to see him. The no nonsense guy who's like, you got to join the rebellion if you want to park your ship here. I like that guy.
Yeah.
There was I thought the Force healer brought some, that's pure Star Wars Force energy right there. So we didn't get out of not, like, this is not a show that has no Force in it. There's
still space wizards in this universe, right?
Yes, we had that person. Okay, two things about that Force healer. The first is, I thought she was going to say that Bix is pregnant, and it still would not surprise me if ultimately that is something we discover, and maybe not Andor.
Okay.
That maybe, because it just, I thought that's where that whole thing was going. I thought she was going to put her hand on Bix's belly and say, like, hey, you've got a little one here. I thought for sure that's what was going to happen. And it didn't, but I still think that could be a storyline. That's my prediction, and it might be nothing. But I also like that the Force healer also senses stuff with Andor. It makes you wonder, like Andor he goes, I'm just a lucky guy. He says, is he just a lucky guy, or does he have the Force on his side? Right.
Well,
so there might be more to that.
But he talks about how people collect. I can't remember how she put it. He's collecting these experiences. It seems like he is a witness to everything. This is what Andor is.
Right.
He sees all of these horrible things. He's there on Ghorman. He's on Ferrix. He's at the prison. You can see how horribly they're treated at the prison. So he's seen all the awful things the Empire has done firsthand. Right. That's the purpose he serves. He can bring it all. He can tell that to people and let them know how bad it is. But like, I think that more than anything else, he wants to see the Empire come down. Now, the whole thing with Bix. So what happens is, of course, he gets back to Yavin. They're gonna bring Mon Mothma in a special Gold Squadron. So maybe Luke's part of that. Is Luke in Gold Squadron? No, Luke's in.
No,
he
he's
hasn't shown up yet.
Red.
Luke has not shown up yet.
Right, but he's Red Squadron.
Red Squadron. So
So
who's
Gold Squadron? That's Gold Leader. No, Gold Leader. I was
Gold
like,
Leader.
yes, who I believe is also who is in Rogue One. I believe. But that's something. Once again, there's Blue Leader too there,
Right.
who I don't think we've seen on the base, but I could be wrong about that. He's the guy with the handlebar mustaches, I think.
Yeah.
He was not. That was not old footage. He was new guy.
Yeah.
With other X-wing pilots who were old footage.
Yeah.
And we're gonna see some combination of them next week, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what we're gonna see. I don't know, maybe on some kind of a bombing run or something. Maybe we'll see something.
So he comes back to Yavin. He doesn't really get the credit that he deserves for saving Mon Mothma, getting her back to the safe house. And they have a nice little conversation in the safe house there as well, where she's talking about how she doesn't really know if she's up for all this. And then he gets back and he says to Bix, "I'm done. I'm not leaving. This is what I want. I want to have a life with you, and I don't want to do any of this anymore."
Mm-hmm.
And so for some reason he feels that he has to choose. What do you think he feels he has to choose between those two things?
To protect her.
Okay.
And that's why she leaves him the message in the morning. When she leaves him a message on the iPad, the Star Wars iPad, but that might have been my favorite scene, just because I love how that was edited together. It's like a voiceover. It's her talking directly to the camera. And I have to point out, she can really act. The people in this show are good actors, unlike a lot of Star Wars. Liz is really good acting, and seeing Andor running to try to catch her ship, and at the same time she's delivering this thing. Maybe she's pregnant. Maybe she is. Maybe she understands she's choosing the rebellion by leaving him, because the rebellion needs him. She doesn't need him to protect her as much as the rebellion needs him on its side.
She's basically forcing him to continue fighting.
Right.
She's not giving him the option of settling down and having a family, right?
Right. Though, and also the very sad thing, which is, I'll see you again after all of this. And maybe she will. Maybe they will see each other in the next 3 episodes, or maybe not. And maybe we know what happens to Andor in Rogue One. So maybe that's even more tragic that she says that.
I think that's what happens. I don't think we're going to see her again. I think that they're right. They're kind of getting rid of some of these characters to focus in. We have no more Cyril, no more Bix. Like we're worrying, all these other side characters are getting kind of moved away so that we can focus in on the big conclusion. And I honestly thought I was upset because I thought this was it. I thought, I don't know why I thought that, but I was like, they didn't even show us Mon Mothma's other speech. They didn't show us anything. Like there's so much more that they could.
Oh no, yeah, that'll be in the next 3.
Okay, well then good to know.
Yeah, no, that's what I think. But I also like, so we have that emotional scene, but then we have a little bit of comic relief as K2SO comes to life, and I love Cassian's and I like the tech guy, the droid guy. Was that guy in Rogue One?
I don't know.
He might have been. Boy, he looks familiar.
Okay.
And once again, when we rewatch Rogue One, then we'll look for some of this
Looking
stuff.
forward to it now. Actually, all this talking about it is making me.
Yeah, me too. And also, not to mention, remember we hear Chopper on the base in Rogue One, and so next week could we see Hera at Rebel Base, or hey, I think it's possible.
Yeah.
So that could be interesting too. Like, this isn't a show about cameos, though.
No,
So
I
don't.
am not. Other
Yeah.
than Bale, which isn't
Yeah.
even really the right person.
Yeah.
They haven't done that. So, and now I do
Yeah.
see why they did need it to be Bale Organa in that moment for the story. Like
Yes.
it makes sense for it to be him. He needs to show like what he's doing to help out from where he is. And then we know, of course, he just goes back to Alderaan, and that's where he is when it gets blown up.
Yeah.
So, like okay, but now we only have like what's left? What's left to happen?
So we keep jumping a year. So that brings us to 1 BBY for the next trilogy. And who knows where that ends. So it starts at 1 BBY, and then it ends probably right where Rogue One begins. So he needs to get his team together, that we see him.
He does that in Rogue One. In the beginning of Rogue One,
he?
he's by himself at the beginning of Rogue One.
Right.
Shows
He shoots Pablo.
Just
Now, Pablo.
Here's my theory about the people that he shoots.
Yeah.
Because he's very cold-blooded. Like,
Yeah.
Andor will kill anybody. We've known that. But maybe not. Maybe he won't kill anybody. Maybe he kills people he's already decided is not worth anything. Like, it's always Imperials. He'll kill any Imperial. He doesn't care. Like, that's as soon as he found out that driver was an Imperial, he's like, boom, he doesn't care. So was the guy he kills at the beginning of Rogue One, is he an Imperial? I don't remember who he is. I don't remember the story.
No, he's like an informant or something. Like,
Okay.
but and also it's something like that. I think I don't remember they plunge us into that world so fast that it's sort of it's easy to forget that. So I don't know. We're gonna need and he also goes. Now I hope I'm not mixing this up with the Mandalorian. But Andor goes to that ring, right?
No, that's the Mandalorian.
Is it the Mandalorian?
Yeah.
I thought Andor goes to the ring.
No,
planet.
that's the Mandalorian. Yeah, that was in like season 2 of the Mandalorian. So
Are you sure there's just
positive
ring
yes. No.
planets? If
No,
there's
no
two
ring
if there's 2 ring planets, you owe me an apology. And if
will-
there's you owe me $1 million. And if there isn't one, then I owe you $1 million and an apology.
I know that because I remember when they saw the Ring Planet, that was like something from Ring World, which is a novel by Larry Niven. It's a hugely popular science fiction novel. He was the one who first kind of came up with this idea of a Ring World. And this is the first time I've ever seen it put to screen was in an episode of The Mandalorian. I'm sure it was not during Rogue One.
But I think in Rogue One there is a floaty thing that he goes to right in the
Well, yeah,
and
it does go
maybe
somewhere.
it's not a
Right.
ring.
There is some kind of a thing, but I don't know.
Yeah, and it's a weird thing too, and it's not. Maybe
like
it's
similar to the pirate space station that they go to in Skeleton Crew, where it's just a collection of things,
something like that.
Like that. Anyway,
Can you believe Skeleton Crew and Andor are the same universe? That's pretty funny to think about.
but it's very cool, and this is going to show us like what you can do when you take the time and you think it through. Some of this did feel rushed. I got to say that third episode, there's a lot going on there, and I do feel like they're kind of moving us along very quickly here to get us to a certain point.
I just loved it. I don't know what else to say other than I loved it. I ate it up, and I thought it's my favorite trilogy so far of what we've seen in Andor for like 3. I mean, I do think they could have like rolled these out slower because you really want to soak these up. But I also think that it would have been quite frustrating to sort of see the lead up to the Ghorman massacre without actually seeing that next episode. So maybe, I don't know, who's to say if it would be better or worse, but and it's hard to just have a talk episode because the whole thing's in your mind. It's like one movie. It's way different than one Skeleton Crew per week, where you can go, the elephant boy got in the bathtub, like it's like that stuff is just like on a week-to-week basis. You concentrate on smaller things, and here we are with so much depth in this stuff, and I'm sure we're leaving out a million things, but it's the big picture that you end up taking away and not just the little things that happen little bit by little bit.
Yeah, I think that it seems to me that this release strategy is a compromise. Somebody at Disney Plus is like, we have to start putting it all out at once like Netflix does. We have to start letting people binge it because that's what Netflix always does, and that's kind of their thing. Although they didn't do it with Stranger Things. They did something weird with Stranger Things, and they do that kind of like part 1, part 2 or whatever. But so somebody's like, well, let's do 3 at a time. There we go. That works out. So we can have kind of best of both worlds. People can binge 3 episodes and then they can wait a week for the next 3. I think I still would have rather it be 1 week at a time. I think that's a better way of watching it. We would think about it more. We would enjoy it more. We would be talking about it more and for longer. Like this podcast, we would keep going on this podcast for more
Yeah.
with it. So, and I think that like it's just a better way of. I don't binge anything. I never binge TV. I very rarely will watch 2 episodes of the same thing. I didn't even watch these 3 things in a row. I watched one per day, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I watched the third one this morning. So I'm just not that kind of person. But I do think that they're like, well, let's just try this out and see how it is. And they're gonna analyze it, and maybe the next Star Wars thing won't be released like this. It'll probably go back to one week at a time. I think that just makes more sense to me. You want to keep people coming back. You want to keep people engaged. You can't, like, if you just throw it up there all at once. And I think Netflix knows this, but they just don't want to change that part of their brand. Netflix will never release it one episode at a time.
You could do each of these trilogies in theater as one film.
Yep.
Like whatever, 4 weeks in a row or something, and end with Rogue One. That would be so cool to be able to see. Like, I think I need to watch this whole series again.
Yeah.
Part of the reason is like I almost feel like I have amnesia after I watch it, because last week I found particularly, I think just because of the time jump and everything else, I found it confusing, and as a result, I think I missed little pieces here and there. Whereas this week I found to be less confusing, but just so packed with stuff that happened that it's like the big sweep of the thing is what you remember, not necessarily not the elephant boy in the bathtub. You don't remember it.
That's right.
So much.
Yeah. There's lots of stuff like that I'm sure I'm not thinking of, but yeah, I did. Like, I gotta say, I'm happy that we still have some more. I was kind of disappointed initially with the episodes. I was not as into it as you were, definitely, because I was like thinking about things. I'm like, why are they doing this? Like, I'm like, when they say they're arguing about how to get her out of there, and they're saying things like, so-and-so doesn't know the building. Well, she knows the building, right? And like, well, they better have that come back and pay off. And they did, but it's kind of a little bit obvious when they say stuff like that. Okay, then I know Mon Mothma is going to take them off somewhere else to go find a way out. So I can kind of see what's going to happen that way. But
See, I just look at it like I love these characters at this point. Like Luthen and Mon Mothma and Andor are, like my favorite characters now. And I never thought, like, and I didn't even see the need for Rogue One. I didn't even really, when it came out, I remember thinking, well, okay, like any Star Wars is, I'm in, but I didn't really think, like, why are they doing this? What of all the things they could be doing, why this? It just seemed like a very odd thing at the time. Whereas now I just, I think, once again, I think Tony Gilroy, and the last episode was written by Dan Gilroy, who I think is his brother, must be his brother. Sure. No relation. Dan Gilroy, no relation, just kidding. But I'm at the point where I just trust them with this. I just think it's good. I found it like well written, well paced. Leaves me wanting more at the same time. I like seeing Star Wars stories like this. Like, I like this as a template for Star Wars for older fans. I just think it just I could watch almost anything, like the gaps between these trilogies. Like, I'd sign up to see Andor doing anything, running missions or whatever, because we know his story ends at Rogue One. So I just think there's so many time periods in Star Wars that you could do this with. Like, how about the stuff that like they set up in Solo with Darth Maul?
Yeah.
And where that was going. And now you could have Obi-Wan on Tatooine, and you could, like, oh my God, that could be a great series.
Yeah.
Like, sort of in this style. So I just like what this story does, and how it, like, there's been no other Star Wars that has done this effectively.
Yeah.
I think. So I just really like it as the template. And I hope we get some more great stuff like this. And I think Disney has locked down Tony Gilroy to do more Disney stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's like, and maybe that means Star Wars, I don't know, but I just think I don't think it'd be a bad thing to get him to do other stuff for Star Wars. I think he could bring a lot of value in other time periods.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's certainly proved that you can have a more adult themed Star Wars story, right? There were remember back when we heard about that series they were going to do with Seth Green, that animated series, Detours, and it was like it was more of an adult comedy. It was an animated, so it was like kind of cartoony looking, but it was going to be more adult themed, I think. And then It's something like that.
Hmm.
And I think they canned it because they didn't really see the audience for it. But I think this proves that there is an audience for this kind of stuff, anyway. As far as like we're seeing things like mass murder. Like you never saw that in Star Wars before. You never
Right.
saw nobody said shit in Star Wars. Like there's all kinds of things that are happening in the series that you never seen, and it's just so interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think once again, I think HBO would have killed for this show.
Yeah.
Because it's they've had shows like the first season of Westworld. After that, it kind of goes to hell, unfortunately. But the first season of Westworld tried to do this and did it well for a season, and then kind of stuff got confusing and mixed up, and then the writing kind of went downhill. The production standards kind of got worse as it went along. Like sort of everything eroded. So I appreciate sort of just the cinematography, just everything, all the work that's gone into this. It's a very high quality of TV that we're getting. I saw some people saying, some YouTube reviewers and stuff saying this is just like the best television ever created. And it's like we've had some great television in the last 10 years. We've had like some of the best television ever created. But I put this near the top as well, just because it's just so, like, as a Star Wars fan, it's hard to, I don't know if I love it so much because I'm a Star Wars fan or just because the thing is of such a high quality. I know people who don't watch Star Wars who love this.
Good.
So I think,
Glad to hear it.
Yeah. I think that's, that accounts for the quality that we see there. Although I don't know if it's getting big numbers. Do you know?
I have no idea. And that's the real question here, right?
Yeah.
Are they going to because that's the only thing Disney cares about. It's if people are going to stream it. And who knows? I mean, they'll never tell us. All they will ever say is something like it's the most streamed episode on Disney Plus. Well, what does that mean? It's until next week, until whatever you release next week, and then there's something else bigger. But I don't know. We'll see. Well, we'll have to see what happens in the last 3 episodes then, because we are going to have to see Mon Mothma's speech. She's going to have to say something more inspirational to the Rebel Alliance. This is going to be the actual formation of the.
I wonder if we'll see it and we'll see Gold Squadron. Oh no, we're going to jump ahead a year, so we probably won't see that unless her speech takes a year.
Unless they show the reruns.
We also don't know what happened to Mon Mothma's Day of Days husband.
Right? Yes. What happened to him?
Yeah.
He's gone.
What happened? Husband and daughter. And they were set up as being like pretty important earlier on. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see something.
Like, is she going to have them brought to Yavin with her? No.
No, I don't think so. But we might learn their fate in dialogue or otherwise. Yeah, there's things like that are still out there. Maybe some other Rogue One characters. Will we get a Jyn Erso? A Vader is in Rogue One. I don't expect he would have a big thing to do in Andor, but he may appear.
I'm guessing, if I'm going to make a prediction, I'm going to guess a 3PO and R2D2 cameo. Just because it's the easiest to do, and they could have Captain Antilles show up.
Sure.
Not Wedge.
No. But the Wedge could show up.
Wedge could show up, but I don't know about that. But it's a different person, right? Who owns them at the beginning of A New Hope?
Well, it's who knows what they have a cover story, maybe.
Doesn't somebody ask 3PO? Like Luke asks him on Tatooine, and 3PO is kind of explaining where they came from.
Captain Antilles. We were on the something like that.
Wedge, or is that somebody else? Is that Wedge's brother?
No, that's the guy. That's the guy on the ship who we see in, I think, Revenge of the Sith.
Oh yes, okay.
Yeah, that guy with the chops, with the lamb chops. I think but let's see. Once again, this isn't a show about cameos. No. But I'm a little like we have Tarkin in Rogue One.
Right.
Now they can do it. They can do it better now.
Yeah, we can
now that they that. Yeah, so I think we might be. And there are 2 scenes from the trailer that I remember that we haven't seen yet, and one is commandos, stormtroopers with masks off, holding guns like the rebel or like the Imperial commandos, but that could be commandos or it could be rebels dressed like stormtroopers. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
we haven't seen that, and I don't think we've seen Krennic standing on the bridge looking at the Death Star.
Oh yeah.
And that's in the trailer too,
It
and if he's standing there looking at it, certainly it wouldn't be much of a stretch to have Tarkin and Vader there.
Right.
Standing there too. So I do think there's still opportunities for some of that stuff, but I don't think it's going to be used in any deep way. I think it just might be a quick thing.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, we'll leave it there, I guess.
All right.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Star Wars Nerds. I'm Dan Vadebonker.
I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the Force hit you on the ass.
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Now I am the master.
I'm taking an awful risk there.